So it's my honor, and I'm very grateful that these four individuals have been able to join us today. Commission President Leota King extends her regrets. She had an accident, an injury a couple weeks ago, and reached out. She would not be able to make it today. I think you're aware of that and that you understand. So we're giving her our prayers and our best wishes for a speedy recovery. So on her part, we have Fayette County Commissioner Mark Nobby. Mark was Fayette County Commissioner previous to his role as Fayette County Councilman. And he was in that role for 6 years. And he then, just this past election, has again been voted by the citizens of this community to Fayette County Commission. So we want to welcome Mark, if you would please come and join us. Our next representative from Fayette County is Fayette County Councilman Mike Wenta. Mike was elected to this position, and Mike, help me with the year that you started. This is your third term now, correct? So Mr. Wenta is completing his second term, and he's representing the Fayette County Council. Thank you so much for joining us today. On the city side, it's my honor to introduce Mayor Harold Gordon. I do feel a little bit more special closeness to Mayor Gordon because he started his position as mayor of the city of Connersville the same time I started as chamber director in January of 2016. So Mayor, welcome. We're so glad that you're here to give your representation. And it's my privilege to also introduce Diana Phillips. She's the city councilwoman for the city of Connersville. Diana, if you would please join us at the DS as well. The format for today's panel, it is simply an informational format. Each speaker will be given 5 to 8 minutes to focus on the priority of their specific area of jurisdiction. Whether it's for the council with the budgets or then on any other policy matter with the city council and our county commission. And so we're just going to get started. Our first speaker will be Fayette County Council member Mike Wenta. And I'm going to, unfortunately, we just have one mic, so if you'll just speak into it, and when you're finished, then pass it.
That's unfortunate. You missed the mayor. Well, I am the Fayette County Council President, and I've been serving, as Gertrude said, for going on technically my first term, finished up Mark Brockman's term. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on, for Gertrude for putting this on, and giving us opportunity to speak and to talk a little bit about what we do. Sometimes people wonder if we do really know what we're doing. We do. There is no class for this. There is no really the best way to learn except kind of on the job, and we do the best that we can. My area of responsibility on the council, of course, as the president, is overseeing the council and making sure meetings are run in an effective and efficient manner. But as the council as a whole, our responsibility is to deal with the financial aspect of the county and strictly just finances. I know when I first took this role, it didn't seem to be the most exciting position in all of the government because you're dealing with math and numbers all day, and that's one of the things I hated in school was math. But as I got more involved into it, I took a great interest in it and an appreciation for what we had to work with, or what we really didn't have to work with. Dale Strong, who is our another councilman and is the chair of our finance committee, has always been very good, very diligent in putting facts and figures together for us over the course of the years. And for example, in 2010, their year-end balance was about $2.6 million. That's what they had at the end of that year for a balance. Now, if you go back, I don't recall exactly when Visteon went out, but that has a lot to do with that tax base being there. As of 2016, we were down to just $501,000 as an ending balance. And it's not because we overspend, it's really because we don't have the tax money coming in anymore that we used to have coming in. We rely a lot upon collecting taxes on property and so forth. The state has put circuit breaker tax caps out there now that have impacted us greatly, that limit the amount of money that we can bring in as a county and that we have access to. So we have to try and make do with what we have. And it's difficult. It's difficult in a number of things. Some of the things that really bother me, the things that bothers me probably the most in being a county council is looking at these guys' pay. What they get paid in comparison to neighboring counties, comparatively the same jobs, it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. And I am greatly, I feel blessed and honored to have people that we do working in the county, working for the wages that they get paid, because they don't get paid comparably to what they should be getting paid for. And they still provide a professional service. They try to keep the doors open. They do the best they can. A few years ago, they had to actually let some people go because of the fact that we don't have enough money to keep people on. So some offices are understaffed. I know our road deputies work hard to do the job that they can and with what they have. And I appreciate the sheriff and the previous sheriff. The volume seems to keep going up here. And you know, they make do with what they have, and I appreciate those men and women that put their lives in harm's way for our county and the jailers and all the county employees. So that's one of the things we try to do is find a way, if at all possible, to give them raises. A couple of years ago, just for example, we gave them a $500 pay raise. $500 equals a gallon of milk a week. That's nothing. That's nothing. But it's something. You know, this year they're getting, I think, 1,000, if I remember correctly. Still not much, but we're trying to go in the right direction with them. You know, some things have looked a little better. I know this year when we started our budget process, we get this number. It could be $14, $15 million, and with that we've usually got to cut about $2 million out of it to get us what we would consider a balanced budget. And this last year was a lot easier. A lot of the department heads did a great job in preparing their budgets and cut some things that they felt that they could do to try to help the county and to help the whole process, and we appreciated that. I think we ended up having to cut about $1.5 million out of it, and we actually got down to where we have a balanced budget this year to work with. Now, things change over the course of the year, and they'll come to us throughout the period of time looking for additionals to fund things that were unforeseen. You know, maybe it's medical bills, maybe it's you know, some of the things unfortunately we've had to deal with were autopsies and with the coroner's side of things, and I don't need to go into detail there. I think we can pretty much all figure out what's going on there. But you can't budget for that. You can't foresee those kinds of things, and it's unfortunate because those are the things that are affecting families and impacting them and hurting them. As a county, we struggle financially. Everybody, you know, from jobs to try and make ends meet. And so I think we try to be very respectful of that when we're dealing with the budget. We don't try to go crazy. I know some people say, well, why do you borrow from this fund? And you know, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, the bills still come in. Payroll still comes in. That has to be paid. And just because of when we get draws, you know, for taxes and so forth, that's kind of the way the ball bounces. So we have to rob Peter to pay Paul. We don't want to do that, believe me, but if you have to pay the bills, you have to pay the bills. And if we have no projects under, like, say, Cume Bridge or something like that, where that money's funding bridges and the bridge isn't due for a little bit, we can do that and then repay it back. Ultimately, our goal is to not have to do that. One of the other things I've heard about, too, is the edit funds and, you know, where does that go and how is that used and so forth. Tackled when I came on the council was that edit fund and what that money should be used for and how it should be allocated. And before I got on council, it was just kind of split up between the city. The city gets the larger portion because larger percentage of population, so that's how it's figured. Glenwood gets a small portion, and then the county gets what's left. And so, you know, we would send some money to the city, and then some money would stay with us. Well, we looked into the ruling, or how it's written, the statute on that, and, you know, that edit money was secured to fund the building of the courthouse, the renovation of the courthouse, and the jail kind of falls into that category too. So one of those things was being able to pay utilities and things of that nature. So we took advantage of that opportunity because we don't have a large general fund, we don't have a lot of money coming in, and we have to pay those bills, and we have to try and help other things. If we don't do that, it's cut people. We can't do that. We're down to the bare knuckles right now as it is with people. We can't put you know, services in jeopardy of not being able to be done. We certainly can't impact our road deputies, and, you know, people could say, well, they don't do anything. Well, they do. Go on a ride-along one time and see what they do. I'd ask any of you out there that's watching at home to go on a ride-along with them and see what they come up against. I've been on calls with them, so I know what they deal with. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think we've, as a whole, as a council, we have tried to be very frugal with the money, cognizant of the fact that it's your money, and try to spend it in the right places. You know, I'm a taxpayer too, so I don't want my money spent in something foolish, and we try to be very, very wise with it. So I guess that's really kind of wraps up for me. And I will probably have to sneak out here early. My son has a Veterans Day program at his school that will start at 1:15, so I may sneak out a little bit. It's not because, well, it would be because the mayor's talking, but I think you all understand.
My name is Mark Nobby. I'm the county commissioner from the 3rd District. A lot of people think we're the boss of the county, which we're not. We're just here to help the other people do their jobs. The one thing I'd like to bring up that's never really brought up is that our sheriff's department and our police department, a lot of times them guys are they're sent to arrest people and straighten situations out. There's times when there are young people involved, if they let them go, it's up to their discretion. I'd just like to say I'd like to thank them for being able to do that, because there's a lot of young kids that stayed out of a lot of trouble just because of the actions that our sheriff and our police have taken. On the other hand, now what I have is some of the stuff that's going on in the county. We've been having trouble with the city cemetery department. They're up on top of the hill. They've been broken into twice that I know of and had tools missing and stuff. We're going to move them, and we just come up with here just recently, we're going to move them out by the county highway. They don't have any place to store their records or their tools or stuff like that, so we're going to give them their own office as soon as we can get them moved in there. And we're going to have another committee to help go through these graveyards, the cemeteries, the pioneer cemeteries, look for vacant lots and see what's available, because there's still people that want to be buried in the pioneer cemeteries. And the only way to actually know what's in there, I think, is to have like that ground penetrating radar to come and check it out. You know, at least we'll have more of an idea than what we have now. Another thing we've recently done, we've got a new veteran service officer. I'm looking through my Kindle right here, so try to give you what I'm going on. Her name's Camera Sparks. She's starting, whenever she decides to start opening the office up right now, she's trying to put things together. And it's like throwing her in on a bunch of stuff, and she has no idea what's going on, and she's got to figure it all out for herself, which I think she'll be pretty good at. She'll be doing this job and set her hours up probably next week, I'd say. And just so you know, the Veterans Service Officer, their budget is only like $18,286. And she only gets like 24 hours in a week to take care of the people that come in to make claims and stuff. Well, these claims bring in over $11 million to the county. So, you know, it's money well spent when you pay for the Veteran Service Officer, because they do return a heck of a lot of money to the county. Another thing we have is on our roads, we got some grants. I can't remember the exact amounts, but in the things that we have got. We've covered 58 miles of new paving for roads. The milestone done this, and also the county done some too. We went and took all the millings. That's when they chop the roads up and peel the tops off and bring all that stuff. Well, we saved all the millings, and we brought them back to the highway. If you look behind the building back there, you'll see stacks of them, and there's also a fairly good-sized pile out in the front. Well, that's all free stuff that we got. It keeps us from spending our money on stuff that we normally put on the road. So in other words, we're having a lot more money to involve, because we can take that millings, add new oil to it, and recycle it, and have a good pavement to put down. One of the roads that was paved with it, if you'd like to drive out and take a look at what it does, is Snyder Road. We went and paved that whole road with just using the millings, and it was gravel before. Well, when you pave a road like that, you're going to save money on maintenance of it, because you don't have to go out there and dump new gravel every time it rains, or it flows down the hill. You don't have to bring a road grader back out there and shove it all back up and make it a nice road again. So by getting our stuff paved, it's going to help our side ditches plus the roads, and it's going to cut a lot down on the maintenance. The roads that we done this year through the grant money was over here at Waterloo Road. I imagine probably you've all seen the work done out there. They done a fantastic job on that. And then they also done Everton Road, which is they didn't do quite as good, but I'll still take it because it's better than what it was. We're going to have some more of this next year. We're getting more money, and they're planning on doing up by the Fed Central School, and they're going to do Alquina Road from, I think it's State Road 1 out to county line. So that'd be something to look forward to. Plus we get more millings, and that means we can go through about some of our other roads that are gravel now and bring them up to pavement and save the county quite a bit of money. Right before I came down here, I was talking to Bill Gray. He's in charge of taking care of the courthouse. And he was telling me we just had a energy audit from Duke Energy. He was saying in the courthouse alone we'll save 60% on our electric bill. But we have to spend a little money to get it. I think it was around $14,000 or so. But little things like this, all the people in the county look for little things like this, and it all adds up and helps save some money. Gertrude told me that she was going to let me know when it was time to quit talking, because we're not supposed to take too much time. But I'm ready to get out of this, and I really like to thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
How you like that, Diana, huh? Okay, when I first got elected mayor, I walked into the office the first day. Now, some of you have already heard this story, but I think it's worth rehearing, because it's like what a preacher says. The more he says things, it goes in on you. And one of the things we did is that when I come in, first thing I started doing was going to other communities to see how they were doing, see what they were doing. And so everywhere I went, the number one thing I found is they had a redevelopment commission, they had a Main Street program, and they had all this, they had TIF districts, everything. And I went to Union City, I've been to Lawrenceburg, of course, Lawrenceburg, but I've been all around the state checking on Columbia City, Huntington, and I've even taken Dave Nutty to Ligonier, Indiana with me to show him what was going on. So what happened is in that first day in the office, I go, what do I do? I mean, the department heads are running everything, so what do I do? So I finally figured out, I need to go, and I heard, I don't know if anybody remembers Bill Conyer or not, but he was one of our EDD directors here, and he was now the OCRA, which is the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. So he was giving a talk down in North Vernon, Indiana. So I went down to see Bill. So I went down there, and he gave his speech and everything. And afterwards I got by and I said, you were the EDT director. What do I have to do in Fayette County, in Connersville, to change it around? And one of the things he said was, you got to change the attitude of the community. Number one, most people, I think it's changing. Most people right now, when they see an empty glass, when they see a glass of water, it's not half full. It's half empty. And if you see if it's half empty, that's the bad side. We want to see that glass as half full. So that's what we've been working on. So then we was talking, and he said, well, I'm going to put you in with a lady by the name of Susie Ripley. So Susie come down, and we started talking, and she started giving me my homework. She says, I want you to give me the assets and what your wants are for your town. So I wrote a whole sheet of stuff out, and I emailed it to her, and a few days later she sent me a letter back saying, well, now give me your top 20. So I took my list, and of course, you know, I got ballparks and all this, you know, and I go, well, I don't need that, but I need that. And so then she went on to say, sent that back to her. A couple of days later, she sent me another letter back going, now give me your top 15. So I said, okay, so I can do without these 5, and I sent that back. Well, then she come down and said, now it's your top 10. And just kept going. Every week I was cutting that list down. Then finally it got down to 1. And the 1 was downtown. The railroad brings in 40,000 people a year down through in the middle of town, and we don't capture them. We have to do something to capture them. So I got looking, and I got thinking about, you know, we don't have a Main Street. For some reason, I don't know why, but the Main Street went away. So I started working on it, and Susie started working on it, and we started talking about it. And she says, well, who do you think will take it? So we was talking names, and finally we come up with Sharon McQueen right there. So we offered it, so we called Sharon and said, Sharon, would you start up take over to put the Main Street back in, because eventually it's supposed to be a long process to do this. So we started the process, and then Carolyn Bunzendahl come along. So she was on there. And so now we're getting things going, and if anybody knows Susie Ripley, she's very bubbly. I mean, she gets excited. If she don't get you excited, I mean, she just goes off on everything, but it's wonderful. And so we started to applying, and finally, the Main Street, we got more members on it. They got their paperwork already all done. Susie Ripley led them through it. And I believe we got the Main Street designation about a month ago, okay? And it was because it was probably, I think Susie said it was the fastest one ever completed in that short of time. And just last Friday, we had a celebration to where we are now a designated Main Street with the 126th one, which I'm so excited, and it's called Discover Connorsville. And so this is one of my things that I really appreciate, that, you know, when people work together, you'd be surprised on what you can get done. And these people, they worked really hard, and now I feel like I'm an ex officio member now. So they don't even have to talk now, but it's wonderful to see this group of people. Does anybody in the Main Street stand up that's on the committee? Yeah. Is it only 2 here? Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they're the ones that put this together, and I really see with the enthusiasm they have, I can see downtown bustling again, because we got to get people downtown. You know, the shopping centers and everything took the business away from downtown. We've got to get it back, because a thriving downtown, you will have a thriving city and a thriving county. And then that's all. And I just showed here, I do have my paving program. There you are. So we work on that with the county. As a matter of fact, we coordinated on a couple of things, like on Waterloo Road. We're also coordinating with Alquina Road to do all that road. And so it's very exciting. I enjoy my job, and I want to thank the people for electing me. Sometimes politicians don't like it, but I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Diana.
Thanks, Harold. I am Diana Phillips. I'm like, most of you know me, so I'm not going to go through when I've served and whatever. I'm representing City Council. And on a positive note, which I hope is refreshing given all the negativity we hear these days, Connersville is currently financially secure. We're no longer under a financial emergency. And while we are no longer under that emergency, it doesn't mean that the absence of that emergency doesn't mean that there's an unlimited amount of funds, but we are financially secure. Our budget is fiscally sound and fundable. And it does mean that prospective businesses and residents can choose Connersville again as a financially secure city, and I emphasize city, in which to live, work, play, and do business. Connersville does have a bright and hopeful future. One of the biggest things our current council is faced with is an aging and aged fleet of equipment in virtually every department. We're attempting to implement long-range plans to replace this equipment in a manner to meet both immediate needs as well to ensure that future councils will not be asked to replace everything again at once in the future. While we would love to replace everything, all our current equipment at once, to do so would be to incur long-term debt, which would need to be dealt with by future councils, and we're trying not to do that. It's necessary in certain circumstances, but I'm really proud that this council is making every attempt to live within its means and its budget. Part of the long-range plans I've just mentioned include the purchase of only 3 new police cars so far, which are currently in service, and we plan to replace at least 2 each year, with the end result eliminating the replace all at once problem for good. Our EMS is currently putting aside 10% of its revenue each month solely for the purpose of their equipment replacement. The end plan is to implement similar plans in every department. Thankfully, we have dedicated employees in every department who are willing to go above and beyond to keep our current equipment and thus this city running. They don't get enough recognition, and so I'm going to give them some here. While we as a council are the financial body of the city, our responsibilities don't end there. We are in the process of streamlining and strengthening our ordinances, particularly our nuisance ordinances, which I like to refer to as quality of life ordinances. We want to make them more easily enforceable and concentrate on the ones that really make a difference. Time limits me here, but many beautification and quality of life possibilities are being discussed. Connersville does have a bright and positive future. We are a city with a small town feel, and while we want to preserve that small town feel, we as a government and as residents and business owners should think as a city. Connersville is a city of possibilities.
Thank you very much to our elected members. We appreciate the insight that you've given us. One of the things I want to ask before Mike Winter, before you need to leave, are there any follow-up thoughts that you or Commissioner Nobby have on the county council side? Sure, Commissioner, go ahead.
As I was coming up here today, I noticed all the flags out, being it's Veterans Day. And I think we owe a big thanks to the mayor for being able to have it decorated like that. And it'd be nice if we could do it every day.
I would like to take the credit on that, but it's not me. It's the service. It's the service organizations, the VFW, the AMVETS, and they've done a wonderful job. I think they got like 600 out there now. And so, but it wasn't me, but I appreciate that. But I do want to thank the Veterans Council for doing that. And
Do you want to tell about Saturday's event with Veterans Council? Details?
no, I don't have that. Okay. So anyway, one thing I would like to say is, I do appreciate one of the things when I ran for office, I wanted to have a road program. And so I showed you a map here a while ago, but never elaborated on it. And one of the things was I done the industrial areas first. And it was because it was brought to my attention that we had some businesses in a part of town that were thinking about leaving because of the road situation. Well, it was brought to my attention, and we took care of that road as soon as we could, and I believe it saved that business in that area. At the same time, you know, we try and ask people, bring your businesses to Connersville, bring them here. But we don't take care of the ones that were here. That was one of the reasons around the industrial area, around Stantz and Howden and the old D&M building. You know, we want people to use that D&M building, but the roads were deplorable. So we went through and we spent $500,000 in there. But you can see where the money's spent. It used to be people would get money and they'd pave 2 blocks of Ohio and 2 blocks of Virginia and 2 blocks here. Well, you never seen anything. So now when you go over the industrial area, you can see where there's $500,000 over there. We've got nice comments from the people over that area for doing it. And next year, we're planning on doing the east side. We're going to spend around $800,000 over there. Gene, you might need a little more money, Gene. But anyway, but we're looking to do that area over there, and you're talking Bryant Street, Woodward, Martin, Woodbine, a bunch of streets over there all the way down, and we're going to. And when people pull into that area, they're going to see $800,000. They're going to see their money being spent, and so I've got it for the next few years. I've got it. Well, like I said, I got it drawn out here. I get my coloring crayons out and I start coloring my maps up to where to put these roads. So we are trying to do that. And I got to say, there was nothing more that I enjoyed than was lifting that financial emergency, because that financial emergency, in my opinion, would, if anybody was looking to grow or looking to come here, that would be a deterrent. And by lifting that, I think one of the things, that's one reason I lifted, because I don't want to be a deterrent. I want to be positive. And I think we've changed it around a little bit, and so I really appreciate it. And that's all I got for now, unless I think of something else here in a minute. Mike, you want to say anything?
I think what you were asking about was this Saturday, the information. That's this Saturday at the Miller Building here at Community Center at 9:30 a.m. for the Veterans Day program we put on. It was in the, I believe, the November 2nd paper. And I think it says afterwards that there's a light lunch to follow the ceremonies, which include a 21 gun salute from the Fayette County Veterans Council Honor Guard. It's free and open to the public. One of the things I'd like to address is, since the mayor's come into office, I've reached out to the city and the Board of Works to have joint semi-annual meetings to discuss what we could do collectively together, or at least get on the same page. Though, to be quite honest, not much has come from them. It's a step in the right direction, so that we're thinking about and possibly trying to do the same things and not being redundant in efforts, and that we're being more efficient with the community and the resources that are available to us. And I think this next meeting that we have, which will be in January, that we have one in the summer, we'll try to get in more of the nuts and bolts of things. I think one of the things we'll have to touch upon is the edit money, and so that our city counterparts actually understand what we see and why we do what we do, because I think there's a great misunderstanding there of what goes on, and that we just decided to pull the money from them, which is not the case at all. And if they were in the same boat, I would hope that they would do the same thing with the resources that are available to them. But again, I want to thank Gertrude for putting this on, the Chamber of Commerce. I appreciate the opportunity. I do have to sneak out, but I don't know if there's any questions or anything.
We would like to give an opportunity for our guests that are here today to ask questions. I know, Mike, that you do have to leave, and so when you need to, just go ahead and go. But do we have any questions from the audience for either our city or our county officials that are on the panel today? Yes, Senator.
I mean, what do you see, Mike and Mark, as the biggest challenge right now, most immediate challenge for the county?
the circuit breakers certainly hurt us. They kill us. The farm tax that's going to be coming up here next year, the year after, I can't. Okay, that's going to hurt us. I mean, those kinds of things kill us. And counties like Marion County and Allen County and these other counties, they can survive those kinds of hits. They got a lot of industry and stuff like this. Those smaller counties, not just Fayette, but all these small counties suffer greatly from that. And I know you do a good job for us and representing us, but you're just one person there. If the rest of the senators and so forth could get a better understanding of that, how that really impacts us, puts us in a bad spot, that would help quite a bit, where we could, try to, improve the economy. Of course, jobs and bringing jobs to the economy, to the county and stuff, where I consider us kind of in an area where we're in between two major interstates, and it's hard for people to get in and out of there. And I know that Dan Parker, yes, he is my father-in-law, but I know that some of the requirements are that they have to be within like 9-10 miles of the interstate, and sometimes we just fall up with just outside of that. But that's those kinds of things that.
Is there anything specific that you're doing toward economic development as far as jobs, from the county perspective? And the only reason I ask that, I was in Shelby County a couple days ago for a groundbreaking, and they've been blessed with a lot of companies, and they are right on I-74.
Yeah.
But I was shocked when I found out that the president of their county council has been to Japan 20 times in the last year to attract companies. And I had no idea that there was that volume of interaction. I knew they had trips to Japan. But the groundbreaking was for their 14th Japanese company, And I'm thinking, when I first heard that he had been 20 times to Japan, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what a waste of money, And then they say, this is our 14th Japanese company. I don't know, from a state perspective, I'm trying to figure out how do some counties attract and how do, some counties not attract. But part of it is logistically, that being run on I-74 has got to be.
Yeah. Well, you see all the communities along the interstate corridors, they do well. From our side of things, no, I've not been asked to do that. If I was asked to do it and it was a benefit and it made sense financially, and yeah, I would be open to doing that. I'm sure anybody here would be willing to do whatever they could to bring it in. But I know, like Manpower, we brought them in. They weren't here before. We've set them up in the D&M building. That should happen. Is that after the first of the year, Brenda? So we're making space available in the D&M building for people like that they're right there with the Ivy Tech and stuff, and not Ivy Tech. Okay, here's Ivy Tech. Sorry. And then who else is over there? Work One. So it's all intertwined, there. So the students can it's kind of a one-stop shop. So we're making baby steps, and we do see some things on the future, on the horizon, that will change some things for us, but we just got to get there. And unfortunately, we've heard that a lot about a lot of different ventures in the community, so we got to be cautiously optimistic, so. The jail. I didn't really want to, but I guess I will. I don't feel that, I think the sheriff, that's more the sheriff's purview there. As it was in today's paper, some of the issues with the jail and things that we're working through. I know the commissioners and the council and the sheriff have been working on various things to straighten up the situation there, but that's another topic in itself, with the overcrowding and so forth.
We had a question from Carolyn.
Well, really more a comment to your question, Jean. And Mike was saying we're making baby steps, which are really a lot bigger than they've been, I think, sometimes in the past. The reason Dan Parker is not here today is because he's in Texas getting an award from the ACT people ACT or the testing people, because Fayette County has become a certified work-ready community. And those steps were not easy to take getting there, and that was a big push from everybody, not only Dan and Brenda, but the Work One community and everything, getting enough people who would take the test and let us be certified. So what that does is tell people we do have a workforce that's ready, and that's kind of a big attractor these days.
I have a comment. I think one of our biggest shortcomings as a county and city both is we don't blow our horn enough. We don't promote our assets and our accomplishments and our, well, for that, I think just as an example, we just won again for the fourth time, and I think in like 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 years, the best tasting drinking water in Indiana. And I think we need to promote the heck out of that. And just like you said, what Dan's getting a reward for, I know they say this is my kind of thing, but I know it's with the economic development too. We're right in the center of a triangle between Indianapolis, Dayton, and Cincinnati. And I don't think we emphasize that enough, that you can have the small town advantages and you're within an hour of anything that you want as a big city thing. And you can commute to Indianapolis, Dayton, or Cincinnati in the same time it takes to drive from one end of Indianapolis or Cincinnati to the other. And I think we need to promote that. We need to promote our quality of life issues, and I don't think we do. I just don't think we blow our horn enough. I think we need to kind of, and all the groups need to get together, and I know they're working on that. And I'm not criticizing any group or whatever, and I think it's on the right track, but I just think we need to continue on that track.
Any other questions? We have time for one, maybe two more questions.
Well, I want to say something too. If you go around town, they say there's no jobs in Connersville. If you walk around or drive around and you look at these businesses, you'll see they're advertising for people. We just don't have the right training for these people, and that's one thing that I think Governor Halcomb is going to be working on, is getting training. And so that's a good thing. And the other thing, people say, well, we don't see any new construction. Well, we don't want new construction. I don't want another Visteon building left to me. I don't want another Walmart building left to me. I don't want another Kmart building left to me. And the guys that are expanding right now are expanding into the old businesses, and that's what we want. When they get full, then we'll start building new things. But that's another thing. If people look at, we are trying to clean the city up a little bit with all that stuff. So that's all I have.
Fantastic. And on that note, one more question, anybody? We're getting on to about 5 till 1. We will end on time. Let's just first of all say thank you to our panelists. We appreciate each one of you being here and your comments today. I'm going to invite you to stay, have a little time of networking. If you need to get back to business, we're adjourned and you're free to go. But thank you so much for joining us. Please stay in touch with the Fayette County Chamber website. Again, a lot of the initiatives, whether it's with Main Street or what's going on with other nonprofit organizations here in the community, we're helping promote that, and that's a great way for you to stay involved and stay up on the news of what is happening here. Also, we have a lot of job postings. We have a new business, DNA Genetics, that's looking for a site manager for their new facility here in Fayette County. There are new businesses, there are new opportunities, so make sure you look at those job postings, forward them on to people that you know that would be interested and qualified. And thank you so much for coming today. We're adjourned.